And I will request Tania Parvin to felicitate the sir with conference key.
Okay, sir.
Now I will request Samia Rosi, Ph.D. scholar of Vidyasagar University, to give a brief. Please introduce today's chairperson of the session.
Good morning. Dr. Ishtiaq Hussain is currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of History at Aliah University. He has completed his MA in History and Ph.D. in Modern Indian History from Aliah University. He has more than 8 years of experience. He also holds various administrative positions as a member of important committees of Aliah University, such as Research and Development Cell, Aliah University, and Computer and Networking Committees. He specializes in modern Indian history with focus on Muslim history in colonial and post-colonial India. He has co-edited a book titled Alternative History and Culture and has published several journal articles in reputed national and international journals. He has also contributed chapters in edited books on topics related to Muslim political thought and historical legacies. He has been a recipient of Maulana Azhar National Fellowship in 2018 and qualified the National Eligibility Test in 2018 along with Jammu and Kashmir State Eligibility Test in 2016. His ongoing PhD supervision focus on the history of circus and theatre in colonial Bengal and the history of architecture in the 18th century Bengal. He has also delivered several invited lectures on various topics such as the importance of mother language, Muslim political thought, and contribution of notable historical figures at institutions and events organized across different venues. He also holds professional membership in several academic bodies, including being an editorial member of an journal and a member of Indian History Congress and Pushing Mongol plus Shamshad. Welcome you, sir. Please.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. This second session of this conference. The second of today, we have three presenters in this session. And as far as the information is concerned, from the organizing committee, one of the students is Purulia absent. So we will be having two presenters in this session. One is Rosona Khatun. She is doing Ph.D. in Department of Journalism and Mass Communication. Her title of the paper is Changing Roles of Muslim Women in Contemporary Indian Bengali Films. Another scholar, another assistant professor, Department of English, Nagar College, Anwar Hossain. He will be speaking on women voices in the Nazrul, the Unfettered. I request both the speakers to kindly come up on stage and the first speaker will be Rosona Khatun.
Yes, my name is Ishtiaq Hussain. I am a PhD scholar of Aliah University. Today's my topic is changing role of Muslim women in contemporary Indian Bengali film. First of all, cinema. Cinema has portrayed Muslim in various connotations, especially Muslim women. They have represented in film as a stereotype, oppressed or vulnerable portrayal in Muslim society. But in 21st century, this portrayal has shifted in some context. in Bengali films have shown that the role of Muslim women have undergone significant changes in contemporary times because they have represented Muslim women as a independent, career-oriented type, educated, not a stereotype uh, or veiling or veiling representation. And next, the objective is to analyze the changing role of Muslim women in contemporary Indian Bengali film and to examine the critical theory approach used in the depiction of Muslim women in Indian Bengali films. Next, I have reviewed some papers. There have been come out that representation, how they represented Muslim in films. Mainly, Muslims are represented as a violent or a terrorist or as a male content. But when we're talking about the Muslim women in Indian cinema, they portrayed as a hegemonic community which remembering they having an identical workstation and disposition. Muslim women situation, since patriarchal vulnerable fields, they frequently have to deal with intervened rigid structured atmosphere from both the outside of and the community. They have speaking as a Urdu language or not a Hindi, properly not a Hindi language. Or Bengali also makes sense. In Bengal, no. In Bengali cinema, when the Muslim one represented, there has been a caste-based problem. Uh, According to Nadira Khatun, in this film, Nagar, Zulfikar, Kabi, they have represented Muslim women as a supporting role, not a main lead. So, there have been their clothes, social conduct, and devotion Muslim females. Character shows that they are lower spiritual fights. And the changing aspect of Muslim women in Bengali cinema, there have been some work about the women in Hindu, but there have been no work about the aspect about the Muslim. So, here is a research gap I found out that do these films foreground the presence or absence of Muslim women in the policy sphere, public sphere of the region? What are the reasons for the portrayal of Muslim woman character in only religious centric role in contemporary Bengali films in India? Are there any perceptual changes in the presentation of Muslim women in Bengali films in India? Next one. I used this paper for the using the feminist theory and critical discourse analysis. I have taken the time frame of the January 2015 to the December 2020, which will released in Indian Bengali cinema. And there have been total 375 films have released, but where only 12 films talking about or they have represented Muslim women as a leading role or the supporting role. And this is the few film which portrayed a Muslim woman. And I focused in the area, I selected 3 films. This is a Nur Jahan and Chris Cross and Panther, Hindustan Meri Jaan. These 3 films. And I have analysis about the this is the plot about the how the Nur Jahan character. Jahan is the Anwar as a lover in this film, and they flee in the after their mother Amina Begum knows about their relationship, and his film is represented Muslim as a Nur Jahan as a portrayed as a educated, independent, and she want to lead her mother legacy as a politician. And this type, Amina Begum is depicted as a politician, a dominated, self-independent, and aggressive lady who want to protect her reputation after her daughter fled to the war. Next one. Hmm. What are the changes has represented in this film? Yeah, this film portrayed the Muslim woman as a educated and self-sufficient and financially independent, and enabled them as a manage their family finances also. And this film represented extraordinary concept about Noor's mother. There have been no changes. Some characters are changes, but all the total concept about the stereotype Muslim representation has not changed. But the Jahan's attire only in films are only they have represented it in wedding or covering their heads or wearing only the typical to stigmatize the locket in nose ring, high kajal. But this film is not represented that kind of representation of Muslim women. This kind of representation has been changed in this film. Sorry. And crisscross. Crisscross, Misha Dasgupta film. There have been a one character. They have Meher. Meher is a aspirant actress. She taking care of her family after her father death, and there have been Meher character represented as a career-oriented individual, and she is the one who take care of her family. And when they're talking about the Meher mothers is a depicted as a typical mother who want to marry her daughter and taking care all the settle down, but don't want to be herself. Next one. And then changing perception. What is it? Meher character portrays a family as her family dependent to her. And is earning, she is the earning member of the family, and she only not take care of the family, she also take care of her friends also. In this film, Suzy character shown that the character also struggling in her financial issues, but Meher also helped this character represented in other kind of and in this film also Meher was represented as sexual vibe when she was acting in a film. The main character also sexually want to sexually involve with her, but she don't want to. And most of the things is Meher character represented as a Kolkata based girl, not a other, but outsider in this film. And Panther film is talking about the terrorism attack and Ketamine denoted bombs in Delhi and Kolkata. Sorry. And this film portrayed Jia character as a dance teacher in his school, and she is the modern thinker. But Panther is involved to her father as a law agent, and when she saw with her father, she panicked, and because the terrorists and the dangers of her father's life. But when his father died in the accident, in blast, she want to take revenge and help Pan. And this Jia character is liberal and self-independent individual who can model in aspect of representation of today's woman. And Jia has a work in India, but her father is settled down, so there have been the some kind of outsider aspect is coming up. And this attire, Jia's attire also depicted the Western style, and she can dance or she can drive, she can do anything like a male protagonist. So this character has a broader aspect, the changing aspect of the Muslim character. Next one. And This is the finding. I find out that the films have portrayed a Muslim woman who do not wear the veil as a modern and liberal. And Muslim woman character depicted as educated, independent, career-oriented, not stereotypical, subjugated or oppressed or being. And in the Noor Jahan film, Amina Begum character is portrayed as a politician who rules her area. This type of representation in Bengali film is very rarely shown. And these three films depicted Muslim women character as bold, their attire not showcasing them as a other. And the form of these films have significantly represented of Muslim women as Bengalis, not outsider. And next, and the conclusion, contemporary Indian Bengali films have changed the roles of Muslim women to be like those of the other community women, not the stigmatizing the other or otherization of representation of Muslim women. And the Jahan, Meher or Jia character represented modern Bengali Muslim who can balance their family and career responsibility. In films, Muslim women have been depicted as glamorous, courteous. Normally, these types of stigmatic representation, but these films are break the path of this stereotypical concept in Muslim women because this time period, the Raj Kahini, Kabir, these films are represented in Muslim women as a courtesan or the careeristic one. But these three films are represented the other side of the Muslim woman. That's why this is some kind of changes of the representation of Muslim women. Thank you. This is my page.
Morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Anwar Hossain, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Nagar College. The title of my paper is Female Voices in Nazrul's The Unfettered. The Holy Scriptures have provided women immense liberty and rights to live with dignity. But the Orthodox patriarchal society forced them to live a claustrophobic life. In the words of Rokeya, God gives, man robs. As also pointed out by Fatima Mir-Nisi, a Moroccan writer, what was and is still at issue in Muslim societies is not an ideology of female inferiority, but rather a set of laws and customs that ensure that women's status remains one of subjugation. Indeed, the patriarchal society invented a set of laws and customs to keep women caged and confined. According to Maria Miles, I quote, the roles of wife, mother, and housewife are by all means regarded as the central ones for the woman. Again, as pointed out by Kalma Bhasin, wifehood, not motherhood, has been the dominant strand of mythology intended to mold feminine identity in India. A woman is expected to be Shati or Savitri or Sita. And as pointed out by Nivedita Menon, I quote, as for laws governing marriage and inheritance, religious communities have their own personal laws. And all of this discriminate against women. However, that does not mean that all the third world feminists are in favor of a uniform civil code, because the issue has become implicated in the politics of communalism and community identity. Nazrul advocated equality and advancement of women. In his literary works, the women characters are in search of freedom from the familial, religious, economic, and social constraints. In the poem Nari, Woman, Nazrul wrote, I sing the song of equality. In my views, gender difference is essentially artificiality. In Badonhara, the Unfettered, the female characters want to elevate themselves from all the discriminations in the name of gender. It is significant to note that in this epistolary novel, the letters are mainly written by the women characters, Mahabuba, Sophia, Kaushika, Rabia, and Aisha. The letters throw light on the lives of Bengali women in pre-independent Bengal with a focus on their aspirations, strength, frustration, and resilience. Notable characters like Mahabuba sought the identity of a beloved wife and mother. But at the same time, individual characters are found to be voicing their angst, anxiety, desire, experiences of life, and the long suppressed pain of being born as women. The Brahmogal Shaushika is a representative of a liberated woman who, in the words of Kumari Jayawardena, may be considered as a new woman in the early years of feminism in the East. She is contrasted with the women belonging to other religious communities. The paper focuses on the portrayal of female characters in Nazrul's novel Badunhara, the Unfettered, through the lens of third-world feminism, which problematizes the issues of patriarchy, class, religion, and marginality. In the poem Nari, Woman, Nazrul again wrote, Gone is that age when man was a master to enslave woman in his wish cage. In Badunhara, Shaushika is the representative of that liberated woman. The choice of name Shaushika itself brings out her character. She is a brave-hearted woman who loves to be like a free bird. Her choice of life are not to be dictated by the patriarchal society. But Shaushika also becomes like a dried wood from inside, with the pressure of heartless sociality and the show of love and affection. She relays the story of her gradual transformation into a stone, like the mythical figure Aholla. She could not remain Miss Shaushika Bose, a student of Brahmo Balika Vidyalaya, a graduate from the university, with all praise for beauty and residing in the world of happiness for long. She has many friends, but with none of them, she could share the core of her heart. She wonders, I quote, who shattered my happiness and how was it broken? She relates the story of the death of her former self. She speaks about the poison of unshedded tears, the agony of not being able to cry and not being hurt by suffering. To Shaushika, I quote, a woman's femininity never dies. In reality, Aholla, the woman cannot remain stone forever. Now coming to other character. In the final letter of the novel, Mahbuba writes to Shahashika, I quote, "The months of storm are over. The storm of my life is still continuing along with the rain. Today is the first day of Asht, the month of rain. Happily, the Asht of my life will last forever. Bless me, Didi, that this Asht lasts in my life till eternity." This is the voice of a woman speaking of the suppressed pain of being born as a woman. She wants to be free from the burden of facing and suffocating responsibility of being a woman, a daughter, and wife. She has lost the wish for living, but she wants to die with the open doors and windows and fresh air and the freedom to cry wholeheartedly. Mahbuba was married to an old man who soon died in the intoxication of opium. Sometimes she also wanted to die after taking opium. Her husband was a zamindar, but that could not make her happy. As commented by the narrator, it's a pity that a woman whose life remains unfulfilled decorates herself with ornaments. Ornaments are beautiful, but that does not quench the thirst of life. Father Mahbuba has to face the humiliation as a woman when her oath is judged in terms of beauty. Mahbuba says, I quote, "My husband wanted to weigh my beauty with the price of silver. But my husband should not be blamed for this. This is a story of every woman in Bengal since time immemorial." Mahbuba's marriage was first arranged to Nurul, but he went away to war. Mahbuba got married at the whims of her parents, like Paro in Shawas Chandra's Dept. This is the general plight of the young girl in Bengal. When a match is broken, for whatever the reason may be, it is considered to be a blot on the parents. And immediately the parents go for a second choice in order to hold respect in the society. In Badunhara, when the match between Nurul and Mahbuba is broken, Mahbuba's father's heart, he could not recover and finally dies. It is also revealed in this short story that the women are the agents of patriarchy. Here, Mahbuba's mother arranges a marriage of her daughter with the aged Jamindar, who had already 3 wives. She did it to regain her and the family's prestige, in showing to the society that a daughter could also get married. The saving grace for Mahbuba is that, I quote, "No children to take care, no previous wives living." Mahbuba's letter to Sophia expresses a pang of being uprooted from home after her father's death. Her mother is happy to be back in her father's house. It's interesting to note the words of Mahbuba. Mother has a right to be happy here because it is her father's house. And for the same reason, from the opposite direction, I'm not happy. I'm not happy here. In the maternal uncle's house, all agree on the point that an aged, unmarried girl should confine herself within the house, not only the self, but also the shadow should not be visible to anyone. In addition, she should speak softly, smile without bringing out her teeth. In the words of Mahbuba, I quote, Khuda has sent a woman in the world to endure suffering and pain. As related by Mahbuba, women are the agents of patriarchy because the moment she tries to protest against any age-old habit or custom, the woman who come forward and suppress their voice. Even in the 19th century, they took it as something surprising when they heard of a woman writing letters. To them, it is a work of polygyny. So Mahbuba had to write the letter to Sophia without anyone noticing. This reminds me of Shakespeare's sister, imagined by Virginia Woolf, who used to hide her writings. I'm also reminded of Rokia. She also used to keep her used to hide her writings, particularly the Bengali writings, because Bengali was considered inferior as a language by the Ashraf community. Anyway, I should now come to the conclusion. Thus, Nazrul, an advocate of equality, defined the role and function of women in the family and society. In his novels, he also provided them with voices to express their angst, anxiety, and pain of being born as women in a society that segregates and dominates in terms of gender. Thank you.
Thank you very much to both the speakers. First of all, I must thank the Pace for inviting me to chair this important session. In fact, both these papers were revolving around the women. One thing which I feel that Anwar sir's paper should have been first, then second should have been from the Rosona Khatun, because these are the both paper have been speaking about the women issues. One speaks in of the 20th century, and another one is related to the 21st century. Because this novel was written in probably 1920s. So literature, in fact, literature as well as cinema are the reflections of the society. So the Nazrul was reflecting the conditions of the society in 20th century Bengal, and the other paper in which the Bollywood was used as a representation, as a reflection of the woman condition, was in the 21st century. Both these papers are very important, and one thing which is common, which was common in the paper, is that there is a kind of stereotyping of the images of the woman. In the first paper, the scholar she tries to you know locate or trace the changing role of the Muslim woman in contemporary Bengali films. And she tries to draw a parallel between Bollywood and Bengali cinema, in which her argument was that in Bengali cinema, the position of the Muslim woman, which was being reflected, was quite better than the Bollywood. It was. Uh, it was not altogether better, because when you argue that the wheel was considered as a sign of oppression, and the women which were portrayed as an independent, they were not practicing the wheel. So that in fact is a stereotype, that you are adhering a particular dress custom to an identity, or a dress doesn't define any modernism or the liberalism. That's a freedom of choice, and dress doesn't affect anybody's ideology. You are adhering or sort of stereotyping of women as a fundamentalist or uneducated because she practices field that in fact is a stereotype. So that is one important thing which I will say. She discusses about three important films. One is Noor Jahan, another is Criss Cross, and third one was The Panther, Hindustan Meri Jaan. So these are the three important films through which her argument was to prove that Bengali cinema has a good reflection or is somehow better than the Bollywood image. The Muslim image has been tried to be presented as a monolithic identity. Every Muslim has been tried to cage up in a single set of identities, or which we say the concept of homogeneous or monolithic type of identity, thereby denying the existence of the diversity among the Muslims within the caste or within the culture, within the language. There's a diverse opinions, diverse ideologies that exist among the Muslims that needs to be highlighted. So that was one important type of argument that this paper presented. Congratulations for this paper. And second was the Anwar sir's paper. This was also one of the important paper which tried to in which he tried to trace the position of women, how did it was affected, not because of the ideological connotation of the Islam, but because of the socio-cultural marriage. He quotes Fatima Merigisi. She argues that it was not the Islam that led to the inculcating of these patriarchal norms within the Muslim women or within the Muslims. It was the Middle Eastern society that led to the perpetuation or that led to the incoming of these patriarchal norms within the Islam. Otherwise, the religious text doesn't discriminate in that matter. It is quite true about also India. When we look at the India and Indian Islam, that scholars argue, like Richard M. Eaton, is the Indianization of the Islam. That we follow the religious canon less rather than we follow the cultural norms that exist. In fact, religion is not prioritized, but the cultural norms are prioritized. You will see in there, for example, I come from Jammu and Kashmir, so if you look at the religious canon, it says that one of the best marriages in which very less money is spent, according to the Islam. But when you go to the Kashmir, the best marriage is according to the cultural norm, in which one who prepares the most dishes, that is the best marriage. So that is, they didn't prioritize Islam, they prioritized culture at that particular. One other important example, when my brother visited Kolkata, he saw several women wearing burqa but having bindi. So he came to the home at night. He told me that there are several Hindu women who wear burqa in Kolkata. I said, no, those are the Muslim women who wear bindi, but that's a cultural thing. That is nothing to do with it. So he was quite, outrageous that how can a bindi. Then I explained that bindi is a cultural thing, that it's nothing to do with Hinduism or Islam. So that is one important, point that sir he traced it, the patriarchal indoctrination within the society through the novel and the novels which he the novel which he presented in his paper, in which he tries to depict that how Nazrul depicted the struggles, pain, agony, and the resilience and the courage of the Muslim woman. And it also reflects the conditions of the society and how women were being aspiring to get for the freedom and to get out of the clutches of those patriarchal setups, and how their aspirations and how their courage, guided them. That was the depiction of that novel. And what was the function of the woman in society. So I congratulate both the author for presenting very good papers. I hope everybody have enjoyed the session. Thank you very much. Thank you, baby.